All right, we got our strength workouts for week 1 and 3. I'm sure strength is probably a lot of your favorites, as it was and is mine. So we don't have any supersets with this. We are primarily focusing on how heavy of a weight can we lift for the amount of reps that we have in good form, producing great force. So I want you to think with all of these, I should only be able to have maybe 2 to 3 reps left in the tank with this one, selecting your weight. So you can do a ramp up set to kind of fill it out for yourself. And then with all the main lifts, we're doing a 3-minute rest time so that way you can fully recover and give it your all. So ramp up sets to get to the weight that you need, and then 3 sets at that weight. So the first exercise we have is sumo squats. 3 sets of 8, so we have a nice wide stance. We're working the outer part of our quad, our glutes, and everything with a 3-minute rest. If you are at home, maybe don't have a bar, don't have some things, what you can do is a banded kettlebell deadlift. It's gonna mimic it, it will change slightly. And then as well, you can also use a dumbbell instead of a kettlebell as well. You're just gonna have to tie it and get a little fancy with that setup. So next, we're moving into our incline dumbbell or incline barbell, whichever you have. Bench, hitting the top part of our chest or shoulders, getting our triceps. 3 sets of 8. Again, this is heavy, 2 to 3 reps left in the tank. Moving into walking lunges, I want you to press off the midfoot and the toe with these, a slight lean forward so that we hit the quads more predominantly than the glutes or using the hamstrings. 3 sets of 8 each, so 16 total steps, 3 minutes rest. Dumbbells at the side. If you want to hit your core a little more, put them in that front rack position. It's a little harder. And then lastly, we have weighted dips. We have 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps, 3 minutes rest. If you don't have a dip bar or anything like that, you can do chair dips with throwing a dumbbell on your waist and whatnot and getting the same effect. So now we're gonna move into our accessory lifts. We have the Arnold press. So we're going out, in, press up overhead. We have 3 sets of 10 reps. I'll show you the demo here in a bit. 1 to 2 minute rest. It is different from our main lifts. We have a shorter rest interval, higher reps here because we're trying to get a little bit of the end range of strength. Our shoulders typically need a few more reps, more of a metabolic burn to help grow and strengthen. They don't necessarily always need such a crazy heavy load, you know, like an 80-pound dumbbell going like that. It doesn't really work the shoulders the way we want it to. So lateral raise, we have 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps. I want these good forms, staying up off the traps with that, focusing on the lateral head. 1 to 2 minutes rest. And then finally, to finish off our triceps, we have dumbbell skull crushers. Again, 3 sets, 12 to 15 reps, 1 to 2 minute rest in between those. So now we're gonna go show you the exercise or the workout and the demos for each exercise. All right, we got sumo squats, incline bench, walking lunges, and weighted dips. So for the sumo squat, it's gonna have a nice wide stance. So a lot wider than you'd normally think. We're gonna screw our feet into the floor, so that's gonna help keep our knees in line with the line of our toes, the ankles or the hips, everything. So from here, it's just like your standard squat that we've been doing before already. So screw your feet into the floor, nice wide hips, abs engaged, dropping those hips down and back. As you go down, I want you to think of actively trying to like keep those knees out as much as possible. So as you drop down, try to keep those knees out as much as possible, and then drive back up. And as you're driving up, you're gonna get a lot of involvement on the outside quad, but I also want you to use your glutes to come up. So literally think as you're driving up of squeezing your glutes as hard as possible to help you come up with this. So what that'll look like, a barbell, right here. Nice wide stance. Screw your feet into the floor, drop the hips back slightly. Screw my feet, pull myself down to the bottom, drive up and squeeze for your reps. If you're having trouble finding depth, what you can always do is place a box behind you and make these a box squat. That way you touch and then go. But just make sure when you get to that box that you're not here and then kind of letting everything go, not bracing your core. You want to stay just as rigid as possible with that and then fire up. Now, if you don't have a barbell, you can use a heavy dumbbell. If you have a heavy dumbbell, same principles apply, same movement. Instead of the weight being on my back, the weight is now in front of me. I'm here, I'm down, screwing my feet into the floor. Weight is close to me, right about my heels. Shoulder blades back, driving up, pressing through my heels to get that weight up. Now, if you're like, wait, I don't have a heavy dumbbell, but I have bands and dumbbells. Perfect. What you're gonna do is you're gonna place one of your thicker bands, or whatever level you're currently at. You can just use the band if that's all you got. If you have a dumbbell, use the dumbbell. If you got a t-shirt to use as a grip, that's totally fine. From here, what you'll just do is you'll just have to kind of twist it so you can get a nice grip. Might not be able to get your feet as wide as you possibly want. The more tension you have here, the harder it's gonna be at the top. Abs engaged, driving up, squeezing at the top. You're gonna get a lot of resistance at the top, and that's what we're looking for. So that's how you would do and make the modifications. Now, we're gonna be getting into the second strength component, which is dumbbell incline bench. So we want the incline at about a 45-degree angle. Now you're just gonna kick the weights on up, so pop them up to your shoulders. I want your wrist in line with your forearms as much as possible. I don't wanna see them broken here, coming in like this, or super far out. So when you're doing the incline press, I want you to think of drawing those dumbbells to your body, and you're squeezing your back. You're getting your lats super, super tight. And then you're going to press straight up as much as possible, and then you're gonna bring them close together at the top, really trying to squeeze your chest. Now, when you're doing this, you don't have to have your arms right out here. We don't want them in line or up above our trap area. They can be a little brought in at a healthier kind of angle for our shoulder. The hands don't have to be perfectly, if I was doing it, this don't have to be perfectly like that. They can be turned it's a little bit easier on the shoulder joint for you. Now, if you're like, I don't have as much weight as I want, same thing, grab a band, put it behind your back, so you'd have the band in your hands. Where did I throw that one? So you have the band in your hands, put it behind your back. Preferably you'd want to have these already kind of ready to go. And then same thing, you're gonna get added resistance at the top when you go up. Just make sure that the band's low enough around your back, around this area. If it's too high, it's spread out like this, it will roll up. So make sure that it's low, so that way it doesn't have the opportunity to come up high and whip you in the back of the neck. So for the dumbbell walking lunge, we're gonna try to primarily target the quads with this. So when you're taking your step, you wanna have your feet, give yourself a little bit of space. You don't wanna be kind of over the top of yourself, making it hard to balance. Nice big step, knee in line with the ankle, with the hip, not letting that knee come in or go super far out. Our torso is going to be with a slight lean forward, because I want the primary focus and loading on the quad. So you're here, still shin angle, vertical, and then you're driving up through the midfoot, getting and involving that quad. So you're gonna be here taking a nice big step, drive up, moving into the next step, and continuing on, so forth. So if you don't have enough room or anything like that, what you can do is just do stationary lunges where you're driving up and then you're resetting and going into the next leg. So you'd be here, drive up, and then you would have to, again, set yourself up and go over and over. So Now, you can add resistance by simply turning this more, instead of into a walking lunge, you would turn this into more of a split squat. So you'd have the band, you'd have your dumbbell, and then you would step on the band. So you have dumbbell, band running down to your foot, band coming back up around. They're both in the loop bands, and then you'd be here driving up for the total reps on one leg, and then switching to the other leg. You can do that as well. Now, moving into the weighted dips. So what we're gonna do with this is when we do the dips, I want us to remember to keep the integrity of our back. So squeezing the shoulder blades down and back. We're not coming up here to the traps, because when we go and get ready to do the dips, what I don't want to see happen, what happens is a lot, is that we roll the shoulders forward, compress the shoulder joint a lot, and that over time will cause issues. So open up the chest, squeeze the middle back. What that does too is it'll allow for a greater stretch of the chest, and we'll be able to develop more musculature as a result. So you're here, shoulder blades are back, going up to 90, at least 90, driving through the palms and squeezing your triceps as much as possible. So from the back, you'll be here, you'll have the weight attached, or you'll just hang on to the dumbbell, squeezing your thighs. Totally doable that way as well. So here, shoulder blades back, going down, pressing up, driving through. Now, if you do not have a way to do dips that way, you don't have a dip bar, what you can do is chair dips. So easiest modification would be here, next straight legs, and then from there we would be adding weight. So you take the dumbbell, place it on your lap or plates that you have available, and do it that way. The next level up would actually be to get another bench and place it out here, go down and do that as well. And the final thing, if you really need more resistance, is that you can add weight and you can get one of the bands, place it underneath the bench or underneath the bench here so it's weighted down, and that'll add some accommodating resistance at the top for you as well. So those are our 4 main lifts. Now we'll get into the Arnold press. So you can either do the Arnold press standing or seated. I prefer to do it seated. So we're here, front rack position, arms nice in a line, wrists aren't broken, down by our side. We're going to go out, press up, come back down, come in, out, and press up. So what we're doing, so we're here, we're coming out, we're getting a little bit of help from the external rotation here. It's gonna cause us to keep our shoulders a little bit more healthier. And then as we press up, I want us to think, pretend I'm sitting, that we're pressing up in line with our ear, not here, not super far back, in line with our ear. And we're keeping our lat engaged, as our lat is what helps keep our shoulder stable. So one way to help you do this, after you've pressed up, think of that you're actually like doing a pull-up back down. That'll help control the weight, it'll help keep your shoulder safe, and then go back into the next rep. So after we get done with the Arnold press, then we're gonna move into lateral raise. So I personally like to keep a lighter grip on the dumbbells, because when you squeeze the dumbbells to death, you get a lot of your forearms engaged and a little bit of your bicep engaged. And we really want to just target those lateral heads of the delt. So I keep a real loose grip. I also try to draw my elbows out wide with it. Like I'm leading with my elbows here, and I'm trying to actively squeeze this as much as possible. I'm coming up and slow down. I'm coming up, slow down. Now, if you do too heavy of a weight, you're gonna come up here and you're gonna get your traps involved, and that's not really what we're looking for. We're here, coming down just to there's no tension, or just before there's no tension, and then back up. Lastly, to finish off our day, we have dumbbell skull crushers. So, we're gonna get back on the bench. Here, go ahead and lay yourself on the bench, press that weight on up. Everything's nice in a straight line. You can either do it this way or your hands neutral. What I like to think of when I have my arms straight up here is that there is a metal rod going through the joints and they can't be out of whack. They can't be in different positions. And the only thing I can do is hinge at the elbow joint. And I'm bringing those dumbbells right next to me. And then I'm driving back on up. So again, try to keep those shoulder blades down. Or you can do it this way. When I do it that way, I like to keep my palms or my hands on the open grip. Here, pressing up. Both ways are totally fine. If you only have one dumbbell, come here, do like a star grip, and then come on up. All right, that is it for the strength day. It's a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.